It's Lamar with the Great Society Ministries with an impromptu video for you. I've been watching, because apparently there was a controversial YouTuber by the name of Crystalline Karazin. Thankfully her channel is no longer up. It's great that she took it down, because she was one of those advocates for interracial relationships and marriages that was actually, in my opinion, now this is my opinion, she was actually a racist against her own race, because what she did in most of the videos I listened to from her was she did, not only did she advocate interracial dating, which is nothing wrong with that, because everybody's allowed to have their preferences. If you're, and I would actually recommend, especially for African American women, if you feel like you're more attracted to non-black men, your best bet is to pursue those non-black men. It's better for you, and it's better for your possible children in the future. Because if you're self-hating, you should, take an exit from the race. That's my take on it. And no, it should be no skin off of anyone's back within our ethnic group, because we have a lot of people who are actually in our group, our ethnic group, Afro-Americans. There's so many of us who are actually, they actually hate the race, and it's always good. So when I see people like Tommy Sotomayor, I'm actually glad that he's out there, because he's actually he's I totally disagree with 98% of what he says, but he's useful, because it's better that people like him expose themselves than to lurk in the background and pretend to be advocates or to want to improve the standing of our ethno-linguistic group. It's better for him to be out. And the same thing with your Larry Elders, who are just more sophisticated Tommy Sotomayors. If you're African American and you don't like African Americans or our issues, and you don't want to improve on it, exit. That's perfect. Now, apart from that, the digression, it's good to see Crystalline gone. Because I remember when the Dylan Roof incident happened, she actually did not even acknowledge the death of the Afro-American men in the church. She said, when she numbered the victims, she only talked about the women. And instead of her offering condolences and saying it was a tragedy for everyone, again, she acknowledged the women. And then she just complained about, with that incident, her first thought is, how is this going to affect interracial dating? Instead of, hey, we need to do some soul searching, we need to stop the racism and stop the lies. Because one of the things she said, Dylan Roof, one of the things that disturbed her was that Dylan Roof said, you're raping our women. And she said, black women don't rape white women. So she gave him credence, gave his excuse for killing those people who were just attending church. She actually gave them an excuse to do that. So she was implicitly giving legs to his rationale that black men are raping white women, which, it's, and I've done this in a past video, and I may do it again, but I'm gonna try to keep my channel as far away from overt things that could be interpreted as hate. But if you look at race-based crime, it's a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. You have black people doing things to white people and vice versa, whether it be rape or murder. So to demonize entire groups based on the action of individuals that aren't, like, it's not a malignant conspiracy like with some ethnic groups, but that's out of the scope of this video. Now, with the whole interracial phenomenon, I think the show, the YouTube channel is called Bitter Truth TV. He actually showed a piece of art by a Afro-American male artist. It's a very good picture. It has a couple, an interracial couple. The woman's black and the man is white, and they're on a bed nude, and it's not an explicit picture, but you see them on top of an American flag. She has a pillow with the Afro-American flag, and her counterpart is sitting above her and has a Confederate flag pillow, and he's reading some Confederate book, and she's reading Marcus Garvey. So the main thrust of this is, I want to say, I'm glad Crystal and Kerosene existed, because I mean, so many. I've been saying this since I'm currently in my 30s, but I've been noticing this since my late teens, early 20s, that yes, there are actually Afro-American women who hate black men, and they need to be exposed. We need to know who these women are, because men should avoid procreating with the African-American men, because the results are going to be awful. And this whole phenomenon with conscious strippers and conscious, because in Afro, and for non-African Americans, when I say conscious, there's a quote-unquote conscious community within the on YouTube, in what's known as the black sector. The conscious community is supposed to be Afrocentric, ultra pro-black, and some of them are actually out and out racist. They're pretty much black supremacists. Your equivalent of your Red Ice Radio and your creativity movement, except for they're black. These people, we need to know who all these people are on all sides, and I'm glad they came out. But one thing is, with Crystal and Kerosene, I'm glad her channel's been, or she eliminated her channel, because now that you've exposed yourself and we know that this is out there, thanks for giving us proof so we don't look like conspiracy nuts. But she doesn't. People like her, they should have a platform, but they shouldn't be able to make money from it. Because if I can't make money off of, because I actually got a warning from YouTube for some of my content. If what I say, and my content is usually backed by documented evidence for the groups that I criticize, it's not just emotion and just hate for the sake of hate. It's actually, here's what X, Y, and Z are up to, and here's why I don't like them and why we need to name and shame them. But yeah, I just find that whole phenomenon interesting. I guess the main purpose of this video is to ask anybody who will stumble upon the video, what do you think of the whole male or female, no matter what race? I think it's very it's very problematic and borderline. Actually, not even borderline. It's disgusting when you have individuals who do hate their own race, because again, there's nothing wrong, because you're going to be attracted to who you're attracted to, and who's available. And you know, if you don't find anyone of your ethnic background that appreciates you, or that wants to be with you, and you find somebody else, or you actually don't find it before you find that from someone else, there's no problem with that from someone outside of your group. But to demonize your own group and to totally advocate a racist or race-based dating system is a failure. And for African American women, no matter what people like Crystal and Kerosene tells you, there's not going to be enough men of these other ethnicities that want to be in a marriage or a long-term relationship with you for it to be a solution, a mass solution. So in other words, there's not enough non-black men to cover all of you who want families and cities. It's just not. And vice versa for the men as well, I think. You know, and yeah, I just wanted to do a quick rant on that. I'm glad they got rid of Kerosene, because her channel was actually monetized, and she was making money from what essentially was hate propaganda that had no value outside of demonizing and trashing black men, which again, you know, it's reminiscent of your Larry Elders, your David Carrolls, and Tommy Sotomayor's, where they have all this. It's just airing dirty laundry and stoking the flames, because what'll end up happening eventually, if there ever is some sort of race-based strife, like if America does balkanize, these people have given fodder to people who will, when the balkanization occurs, the people that'll be trying to kill African Americans will have. And I actually saw a video with one of the individuals I named by a white supremacist channel where it says, look, and it actually showed that individual and said even black people don't like black people. You know, so let's cut out the racism against our own race, and that's the good word here. You know, trying to think if I exhausted it. I think I pretty much said my piece on this. Godspeed, and I hope everyone has a good fate ahead of them. Everyone who, well, the good people. You bad people, I hope the opposite for you. That's it for now.